This week, we're going over season 5 of The Guild, as well as the concept of sound within an audiovisual medium, such as a web series like The Guild. And so, if you haven't already watched season 5, please stop now as there will be spoilers. If you haven't already read the the handout that I've posted on Moodle of all the definitions associated with sound, press pause, go bring that up on your computer screen. It's on the syllabus, and read through it before you watch this, because this should be, again, a review for you to sort of cement what you already know and to apply it, and not a substitute for reading through the definitions under sound and watching the series itself in its entirety. Now, season 5 is great because you've already watched seasons 1 through 4, and you've been watching the seasons get better and better with each one, with the more financing and financial support that the Guild is attracting through, their really voracious fan base, and the continued success of this web series. Now, so in this season, we not only see CGI or computer generated imagery, but also really a big jump in sound effects and the way that they're used. So as well as, and this is pretty cool for those of you out there who, are immersed in the gaming world and or the con world, or just the internet in general, there's a lot of star cameos on this season of the Guild. So be keeping your eye out for famous people that are that are volunteering their time, basically, because the Guild, as much as they're really successful, they can't afford the salaries that these people command. So a lot of people, because a lot of actors and actresses, because the Guild has become so popular, are willing to either take a serious pay cut or just work for gratis. So watch that. In this season, we have all of our characters going to Mega Game Oramicon, and the season centers around their antics, what they get up to, and what they get up to is really hilarious, in my opinion. At this, Mega Game Oramicon, which obviously is a play on the fact that cons or conferences, conventions have become so popular in this day and age, where, the fans are really demanding not just time online with the people of whom they're fans, but also physical one-on-one time. They want to see them, they want to meet them, they want to shake their hand, they want to get autographs, all that stuff. They want to buy the merchandise, they want to immerse themselves temporarily and even dress like, and that figures mightily in this season, dress like the characters that they have fallen in love with. But what we're going to focus on in this video is sound. And so, first of all, I wanted to bring your attention to the idea of quality, sound quality in audiovisual genres. And there's a definition under here for direct sound, which a lot of people get confused by. And I want to just throw that on the table right now, that most of what we watch in the United States does not feature a lot of direct sound, because direct sound is the kind of sound quality that you get like when, you or I are recording videos and it's a windy day, or there's traffic going by, or suddenly people start talking in the background and it muddles the sound, and muddles your ability to hear what the characters are saying, and to really immerse yourself in the narrative. Direct sound is used a lot in European films and avant-garde films. It's really not used a lot in the kind of video that we watched. Usually, the only direct sound that we get in American shows and web series is of the actors' voices. And so the actors, though, are mic'd very specifically in a way that will pick up their voices and block out extraneous noise. And so it's a very selective type of direct sound that we're getting. Really what we're going to be focusing on, therefore, in this particular video and looking at the Guild is what is synchronous sound, what is post-synchronous sound, what's off-screen sound, sound perspective, diegetic and non-diegetic sound, because those are the kinds of sound that we see most frequently in the videos and the TV shows and the movies that we watch here in the United States. And that's why I want you really to be able to quickly identify, okay, and be able to use that terminology correctly. So first of all, I wanted to show you a sound perspective. Now, this is an example of post-synchronization dubbing, as well as sound perspective. It's post-synchronization dubbing because I can guarantee that they were not able to get the kind of sounds that they wanted at the time that they wanted, and so they were added later. And after filming had already occurred, it was added layered. It was layered onto the footage to give the impression of the sound that one would hear in the real world of cars going by. So, you know, sound in the real world, when something is far away from you, you can hear it approaching, and it slowly gets closer and closer to you, and then it sort of zooms past. And that's the way that we can tell where sound is in space. Is it far away from me? Is it close to me? And so sound perspective recreates that. And specifically, we're going to see simultaneous, so it matches the action on the screen, but this is post-synchronous dubbing in order to add the idea of space through sound perspective. So I'm going to click play here, and you're going to hear the sound of traffic going by. And pay attention to how it sounds far away and then like it's passing, okay? Okay, so that obviously the sound that you hear there is the sound of cars passing and the sound of cars honking, and they're zooming by Vork's van to illustrate how slow he's going on the freeway. And that's an example of sound perspective and post-synchronization dubbing. It'd also be an example of what's known as diegetic sound. Now, diegetic sound is sound that we, the audience, hears, and also the characters within their diegetic world hear. Okay, so you can tell diegetic sound versus non-diegetic sound by asking yourself, can the characters hear this? Because anything that we hear, of course, the audience can hear. But the audience hears both diegetic and non-diegetic sound. Diegetic sound, the characters can also hear. Non-diegetic sound, we understand that the characters cannot hear it. And we'll be giving some examples of that later. Okay, now, another example I want to show you of post-synchronization dubbing is when Zabu throws his boxes on the floor accidentally, and we hear the sound of them falling. And then also we're going to transition to where Vork runs into the chairs and stuff outside of the convention center when he pulls up with the van. Now, again, you don't always know what is or is not synchronized in post-synchronization dubbing. Sorry, I stumbled on the word there. But you can pretty much guess because usually the sounds are as crisp and as clean and as clear and as pronounced as they would be in a film. Like if you were right inside of that sound, not in real life, if you're taping real life, when noises tend to get pretty muddled if it's not right up against a microphone simultaneously. And you can't mic everything in a film while you're filming, or else you're going to get this really muddled sound again. So anything that's not the characters' voices, we tend to understand are being added afterwards. And the synchronized part, again, is so that it matches temporally with what's happening on the screen. So I want you to pay attention here to how the sounds that are not characters' voices match up with the action that we see. Specifically, the boxes falling and then Vork running into items in front of the convention center.
What's wrong with him? The license plate came. The winner gets a lesson from me in Fortran. And it's going to smell like burrito, so...
Maybe I just want someone who's nice to me for a change. And Warlock Priest combo is killer, right?
Middle Earth's a codex. That's not real life.
Well, maybe it can be. Does it hurt to try?
Yes. But you knew the convention was happening sometime this year-ish. Why are you acting so
You
surprised?
can't mess with Keminator. The dude hooked us all up with rooms and tickets. I'm a special guest, remember? With air quotes.
That little bastard deprived me of my hard-earned, capitalist-funded guild hall. I intend to report them to the heads of the game personally!
Before this car stops, I want to play a license plate game!
Oh, boy.
Okay, so you saw exactly what I was talking about. There was also a sound bridge in there, where the sound bridge was non-diegetic music that welled up in the background as the scene in the daytime was ending, and then connected us to the nighttime scene. So even though we jumped forward in time, the sound bridge connected those two scenes to one another. I suggest you go back, rewind, and watch that little bit of film so you can really see an example of a sound bridge. There's very few sound bridges in the Guild. We tend to see them more frequently in movies. There's not a whole lot of non-diegetic music. There's not much of a non-diegetic soundtrack in the Guild. But we do see them frequently in TV shows and movies. So that's something good to have on your radar. And also, if you see a sound bridge in the Guild, it should sort of emphasize to you that it's significant that they chose to add that. It does obviously take a lot of extra effort on the part of the sound engineers. Okay? Okay, now we're going to get an example of a diegetic sound that is also off screen. I'm going to do 2 examples of that, and that's going to wrap up this video, and then I'm going to start your third and final video. But what we have here is the sound of Codex typing. We cannot see her hands. We see she's at a computer, so this is off-screen sound, and that would have been dubbed in later. But it's supposed to help us understand that she is currently playing the game, the sound of her typing. So listen for that.
Gleaming Cross could keep Aurora's Veil?
The creator oversaw these changes personally.
Without Gleaming Cross, one shot.
Okay, so you saw, or you should have heard the sound, the subtle clicks of Codex typing. And again, it doesn't have to be really obvious, but those little details help to create the idea that we're watching a real world. And it's supposed to be synchronized with her hands, which we cannot see as off-screen sound, but nevertheless, it's assumed to be within the scene when we hear it. We're not like, where's that clicking coming from? We know, okay, she's at the computer. That's what she's doing. Now, next, I'm going to show you another example of off-screen sound. And here we go. Oops.
Don't worry about your baby. RTX promise. Okay. You know what? Maybe it's time.
Huzzah! To the kingdom! Drop the paperwork!
Okay, so obviously where you can see there is that even though you cannot see visually on the screen the character that is speaking, you can hear him speaking, and that you're aware that even though we can't see him visually, that he's within the same space that Codex is. And so again, a lot of times the sound won't match what we see visually, but if enough clues have been given to us, we understand exactly what's going on and how that sound affects what we're seeing. Otherwise, it would be very confusing and we would not like it at all. So, okay, I'm going to stop this video here and come back with some more examples to show you from the Guild of how sound is used to create additional meanings within the narrative.